Hello, Terry. Good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you again. How's it going?
All right, all good here. How about you?
Yeah, good. Good. It's getting cold here in Toronto, but good otherwise.
Ah, yeah. Early morning for you, I guess.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
Not too
late
early.
afternoon here in Lithuania, but also getting pretty cold. End of November now, so very good. So good to see you, Terry. We have a collaboration ongoing for a couple of years already, but I think it would be great to know for our audience also. We know each other, what you are doing, what your company is doing. We got to know each other a couple of years back, right? It was in a conference in Madrid in much
Madrid, yep,
sunnier
of all
conditions,
places.
I remember. Yeah, and that's where we got to talk. Actually, you had a very compelling presentation there. Um, and that's what really touched me and touched my colleague Olga. Like, hey, you explained to us that you were looking for some support on the field of pharmacovigilance. You didn't have, let's say, endless amounts of money to spend there because of the specific costs that you work on. But we said immediately, like, hey, this is something we like so much, and we want to help you, and particularly your son and all the other kids in the same boat, right? So. Um, I was just wondering if you could share a little bit about your background, let's say the Cure SPG 50, the Melpida gene therapy, but also Elpida Therapeutics in general. How did you start this whole path?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Yeah, my name is Terry Pirovolakis, and I spent 20 years in IT, and then Michael, my youngest son, Michael, was diagnosed with a devastating disease called SPG 50. We were told to go home and love him. He'll never walk, he'll never talk, and he'll be severely disabled. And me and my wife could not accept the fate for our child. So we created a Cure SPG 50 in order to us to raise money and treat children with SPG 50 specifically. We were fortunate enough to raise $4.5 million over 5 years or 4 years. We found Dr. Stephen Gray and Dr. Xin Chen out of Dallas, Texas, at UTSW, and collaborated with them. And we ended up making a gene therapy for Michael. It took us about 3 years. He got treated as sick kids, and then we tried to give away the drug. We were going to companies and institutions saying, "We have two more doses, please take it." And no one would. So we treated two more children out of a phase 1, 2 in the US. And we realized that even then, after having data to show that the drug is working, no one would take this program on because it's so rare. So Javier Garcia, Sheila McHale, and I formed Elpida Therapeutics, and the goal was to run it like a nonprofit and to save as many children as we could. Today, we've treated 10 children with SPG 50 across the world. We're opening up a phase 1, 2 in the US, sorry, a phase 3 in the US and Spain. We're opening up a site in the UK. We're opening a site in Denmark and a site in Italy. And we're hoping to treat 18 children by next year for a total of just under 30. And then we decided that we need to make a larger impact. So we took on CLN7 Batten disease, CMT4J, and then we started a consulting division with seven more assets. So we have a ton of stuff going on. We're really making progress. But as you guys know, the U.S. is in a bit of a turmoil right now, so funding is very difficult, and we're really grateful to have Biomapas support us in our DSUR, in our pharmacovigilance, because these are critical items that we just can't do internally, and it doesn't make sense to do internally. And we have a great partner to take care of these items. That it just we're a really good collaboration, and we're super grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's our pleasure and also moral obligation to help you. We strongly feel that. And it has been a great collaboration so far. And it's always an impressive story to hear again. I mean, my compliments to you. It's unbelievable what you did. And you were not in healthcare before, right? Not at all.
Well, I was in IT, and when Michael was diagnosed, I locked myself in a room for 24 hours and kind of did a brain dump of what needed to be done. And then over the years, just kind of understood what needed to happen. So, Dr. Gray would be like, we need to make a mouse model. And then I'd go down the rabbit hole of what does a mouse model look like? What does it entail? So each step of the way, toxicology, manufacturing. And because I was on every single call along the way, and we had amazing team members and consultants that were supporting us, we felt that we could help other people. And that's exactly what we're doing now. We're taking on more programs, we're funding, we're We got 2 programs to INDs in the last couple of weeks from our consulting, and we're filing for 2 BLAs. So we're moving things along. It's very, very complicated, as you know. It's This field is just extremely complicated. It's not meant for foundations or regular individuals to do. It's meant for large pharma companies. But we're here now, and we have to make the best of it, right? So.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what we have noticed, and I think Elpida is also known for, is your outstandingly fast clinical progress. And what enabled you to do that? And maybe what lessons could other organizations take from that?
Yeah, honestly, so initially it was what got us through the proof of concept quickly in the toxicology was running everything concurrently and having the funds to do so. Now, what's helping us move forward with clinical trials is an amazing team. Our internal team of 7, the professional consultants we have, and companies like again Biomapas to help us move these forward. Where I call you guys up and I'm like, hey, we're going to be in a clinic in a month, and you guys get us going. It's the collaborations and the partnerships and the amazing people that are saying, you know what, there is urgency here, and I think that's kind of lost in translation in the field a little bit. But the teams that we've been working with have really understood that and understood that these children are limited in time, and have really stepped up and helped us get these programs off the ground in literally months instead of years.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yes, we are one of the parties you collaborate with, but I guess you have other partners as well, right? I mean, I know one of them because that's where we met on one of their events. But can you say something about what kind of other partners you work with and how do you go about selecting them?
Yeah, we partnered with Virogen in Spain for manufacturing, Quattro Labs for potency assays. We partnered with Charles River for toxicology, and UTSW, Gosh, SJD in Barcelona. What we're looking for is partners that don't see us as ATMs. They see us as a true partner, as a true collaborator, that we are trying to save children, and that sometimes we might miss a payment, but we'll make it up later. And unfortunately, that's the way it happens with rare disease. Is that funding is so limited. It almost doesn't exist, and we're really relying on philanthropy, family foundations, families fundraising, and that's where it gets complicated. And that's why we're so grateful for our partners that we have partnered with that understand this, limitation and are working with us to try to figure out creative ways to ensure that we can do the things we need to do, right? Save children quickly, but at the same time keep our commitments and keep our promises in what we're planning to do, right? So that's why we're very, very fortunate to have such great partners.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's a common cause that we're working for. I cannot speak for how things must have felt for you and still are today, but still, we also feel that we're part of this and we want to help. And I guess that's the network of partners you get it around you. That's amazing. Happy to hear that. And then you mentioned already some challenges, of course, with funding, but I guess also in general in collaborations with health authorities. When you must talk a lot with regulatory bodies like FDA, EMA, maybe others. So what kind of challenges do you see there, and do you see opportunities in gene therapy space, especially for children?
Honestly, we were always told, oh, the FDA is, your enemy, they're hard to work with, and that kind of stuff. And we've been very blessed to have really good relationships with the FDA, EMA, the HMRA in the UK. Everybody has been very supportive and very helpful. We may not agree on everything. That is obvious. That we may think that we're in line and they don't. But the reality is, we come together as our common goal to try to figure out a path. And so far, we haven't hit any major hurdles, knock on wood. But as we move forward, we're really pushing the boundaries on how fast we can go, what things we can do. We never, I think what the most important thing that people need to realize is we never skimp on safety, right? I think that's where the FDA and the regulatory bodies see that. Safety is paramount. We do not want to harm a child ever. And I think that's where we all align that, our efficacy may not be 100% because it's very complicated to show efficacy in animals, right? but we do not mess around with safety. Safety is paramount in all of our programs, and I think that's why to date we've been very fortunate in our programs, in our collaborations with the regulatory bodies.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you know that I'm by nature a pharmacovigilance professional, even though I switched some roles through time. But you know, patient safety has always been throughout my career the most important thing. That's what we keep telling. You know, even in commercial companies that I worked for, we said forget about sales, forget about money. For us, it's the patient, and I've never seen it so concretely as with the story of these children. You know, it's you cannot afford any risk there. That's I fully understand what you're saying, indeed.
Yeah, as a parent, like I mean, it's you think to yourself, oh my God, if I harm my child, let alone any other child, I would be devastated for the rest of my life, right? So
Yeah,
that's the way we look at it every day. Obviously, nothing's going to go 100% perfect. There's always going to be hiccups along the way, right? But it's around how you deal with them and how you manage these patients. And for us, we'll throw out all the stops in order for us to make sure that a patient is safe and healthy. And again, nothing's perfect. We are going to encounter hurdles, that's for sure. But how we deal with them is extremely important.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, you mentioned already. I mean, you're basically a caregiver yourself, but also an industry professional by now, even though you weren't like that before. But from that perspective, from both perspectives, as a parent giving care and industry professional, what do you see as the biggest unmet needs in gene therapy?
Yeah, right now the problem that we have is that we if you went back 6 years ago, the market was going in a perfect trajectory. We were having more programs, there was manufacturing being built, there was tons of stuff happening, and unfortunately, we're in the Arctic winter of biotech right now. And I think what we need to do is it needs to turn around, and I think we need to stop looking at programs like Zolgensma and SMA as our guidelines, right? Because the reality is, children are not going to a lot of programs are not going to be completely normal. You're not going to treat them and they're going to be running around and living forever. A lot of times, we're going to be lucky if we can stop or slow down the disease. And I think we have to set the bar slightly different to say that that is good as well. Not just in some cases we're going to cure them, in other cases we're going to treat them, and that has to be the guideline. And I think we lost track of that somewhere along the way. And I think if that comes back and there's more manufacturing and there's more therapies that are out there, then the cost of the drugs will go down, the cost to our patients will go down, and then we'll have more therapies and more cures to patients. So I think until people start realizing that and we get this Arctic winter gone, it's going to be a bit complicated. But I think things are turning around. I think the market is changing slightly. And over the next couple of years, hopefully that will change, and we'll have, instead of 8 approved gene therapies, we'll have 100, and then the cost of goods will go down and everything will be different. But it's a tough time right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. And do you think it's really funding as the main challenge, or are there other things how the whole ecosystem could work better? What biotechs could do, or even CROs like yourselves to help the patients better?
I think it's mostly around funding at this point. There's not enough funding in the market right now. And unfortunately, what that's doing is it's causing the whole market to shrink exponentially. I think what we need to do is we need to bring back the PRV. We need to, maybe set a different standard for ultra rare conditions that they don't have to meet, a drug that has 1 million patients, as an example. But these are things that have to be looked at from a scale beyond me, somewhere policymakers way above where I am, to say that we need to do something different because the status quo is just not working for rare diseases and ultra rare conditions.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. So, and maybe on a different topic, beyond development into long-term outcomes, what do you see as key challenges for durability in childhood gene therapy?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that in these therapies, we have to get them to approval, because the reality is if you only get them to a clinical trial and you only treat 8 children, then we did something amazing, but we did a disservice to the community. So I think the goal should always be in front of us is not just getting into a trial, but getting that trial into approval. The hard part is on these trials is showing efficacy.
Mm.
Because you may think that, for example, in our programs, we thought spasticity was going to be the biggest endpoint because all our children get spastic. But unfortunately, when we saw this, the spasticity ratings were created for cerebral palsy, which are very static in their spasticity. And what we were seeing was more so in cognition improvements. So what we thought would be the right indicator ended up being the wrong indicator. So, but we are seeing flexibility at the FDA to say if you were tracking those items and you're seeing efficacy, then we're not going to hold you accountable for your primary versus your secondary endpoint. So these are the kind of things that we're very fortunate that the FDA and other regulatory bodies are offering flexibility on these ultra rare conditions.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I understand. And then if we talk back about Elpida, I mean, has the mission evolved or is it still the same? How does that look when you look ahead into the future, how it evolved until now, and do you foresee any changes for the future?
Yeah, I mean, we would hope that we'd be at 7 programs by now. We had to kind of slow down because of funding and the grant situation in the US. And then also we around December we almost went bankrupt because when the PRV went away, there was no more funding for us because as you can imagine, there's no revenues. We're not a company, we're a nonprofit. So we had to end up converting to a consulting practice as well. And that's helped us pay our salaries, keep us going. So our evolution really has become a consulting practice on the side to support our salaries and support the programs, as well as taking on more programs. My hope is in a year or two from now, we go from 3 to 10 programs in our official Elpida side, and that we run 20 or 30 programs on the consulting division to help family and foundations move their programs forward. So our evolution really became nonprofit working on one program, nonprofit company working on 3 programs, to hopefully nonprofit working on 10 on the internal side and 20 or 30 on the external side. It's something out of necessity, but we're dealing with it right now.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I know you, you've never been sitting still with any challenge, right? So if there's a problem with funding, then you start addressing the funding itself. I understand you look for ways yourself what you can do then.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we can't just give up, right? I mean, the reality is this is not something that I would choose to do. I mean, this is born out of a nightmare, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, people that are in this industry, they do it because they love the goal, they love the mission. This is their career, but mine came out of something completely different. And my perspective is that, if I don't do it, then who will? And there's no one else, unfortunately, to take these on. And that's where me and my team come in, and we're doing an awesome job at this point, and we just have to continue to push the boundaries, push things forward, treat more children, and then hopefully funding will come and we'll be able to make real change at that point.
yeah, exactly. Well, in summary, I mean, I cannot stop congratulating for what you do. I'm sure that your family must be so proud of you and everyone around you. Even we are proud contributing to your cause. So thank you so much for sharing all these stories. And this is just a short interview, but I'm sure we keep in touch and we keep spreading the message together also for the cause that you're supporting, right? So
Yeah, honestly, it's because of companies like yours, right? Companies that are willing to step up and support us, and wherever we have a gap, we have to fill it, right? That's the reality of things. And this was a critical gap. We couldn't mess around. We had to have, pharmacovigilance support. We need to have DSUR support. And your team really stepped up and said, "We're here to support you," and it really enabled us to save these children. So that's what happens. It's about partnerships. It's about teamwork and having good partners to say, you know what, we're here to help you. We're here to help the kids, and we won't let you down. And that's exactly what your team has done. They've
yeah,
been there for us from the beginning. So we're very grateful.
exactly. And that's what I would like to call upon to all our audience, everybody's watching, whatever you can think of to support Elpida and the therapy in general. I think that's so much needed and welcome. I'm sure that every challenge follows after another, or it never stops somehow, I believe. But still you're making steps each time as well. So
It's 1 inch, 1 step forward, 10 steps back, 1 step forward, right? That's how it
yeah,
works. That's
yeah,
life, right?
absolutely. Well, we keep supporting you, and I know for sure that everybody watching this will also think what they can do, and together we all try to do the best for the children who need it, right? So
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Terry, and have a good day.
You too. Take it easy.
Thanks.